All right, this is my third attempt at the intro. Every time I'm a big perfectionist, so I like write scripts and shit, but I'm a big firm believer in like really coming from the heart on this stuff so that you guys can feel the energy of what I'm saying, not just me just reading lines off a phone, you know? Mainly what I want to come to you today is just teaching you how to fish, because I see a lot of coaches, they have like a vested interest in not explaining a lot of their stuff, though, because at that point, if they go out and they give a guide on what to do, and I've only seen Verge really do this, but if they come out with a really complete guide that shows everything, that shows all their stuff that they use in their coaching sessions as well, then it's like, okay, then what's the point of going to their coaching sessions in the first place, right? And so that's kind of the issue that I came across like earlier in my life when I texted or when I was talking to my dad, and I was like, I think I just want to release this stuff. And then I knew that naturally that stuff would be outdated. And so I just want to share all of this. And the truth is if you guys really implement all of this, and you really master what I'm talking about here, and you coach it to other teams, there's no reason why you can't make RLCS. It's literally like what pros don't want to release, because if this was going out to the public, it would change everything. The biggest thing when I was ranking up was I didn't have a reference, right? It's like, how do you know what is right? You know what I mean? It's like, okay, what is the correct thing to do? You know what I mean? What is the correct decision at all times? And now here is the video on that exactly. I hope you guys enjoy. I send you guys tons of love. Let's get into this. All right.
So the way that this video is structured, the way that it's going to work, is that you are going to have a little snippet on the first man, what to do there, which is going to come in line with what to do in your third man, especially. They're almost the same thing, but not quite. What to do in your second man, and then what to do in your third man, and then also some other concepts that I've learned that have helped me along the way that I know for 100% they'll help you. So for everybody that is watching, I really appreciate you. Also, do not skip anything. I know, like, I'm ADD as shit. I want to skip through it, just want to, okay, let me learn it now. But I'm serious when I tell you that every idea builds on each other. So for first man, you're going to have a lot of clips that are going to give like an in-game example of exactly what I'm talking about and how to do it and how to implement it, as well as what to look for, right? And then I just lost my train of thought. Hold on. And then that'll cover pretty much everything. So much love to you guys. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. Mwah. So I use this Rocket League replay in about every single coaching video. I call it Old Faithful. So there are 3 steps to a defense. There's pressure, there's cover, and then balance. Or balance. So as the first man, there's one of 2 rotations that are going to happen. The first rotation is if your teammates play the position correctly. The first rotation is a slow, keyword slow rotation into the third man position. Just coast and don't boost. Rotate on the lifeline pads here. If your teammates aren't engaging in losing tackles or getting beat entirely, then you have to play a bit slower. 99% of my coaching sessions is teaching people to relax into position instead of forcing themselves onto the play, overcommitting, and then losing the game. Also take note of Jane Apps's width as he is rotating back into position. He is following what I call the lifeline pads because they are your lifeline. Not only for boost, but for width. Had he rotated in any closer, he would have had an awkward turn and not have had the opportunity to catch this open net shot. This is a low elo mistake that I see in my coaching sessions. They do not keep their width, so their turn infield is awkward. So remember that your movement should be to slowly rotate into that vacant third man space and then slowly rotate into the second man position. If the ball comes your way anywhere in between into your zone of responsibility, then you know to go for it. More on that in a sec. So keep it simple, rotate out on those lifeline pads. If you trust your teammates and your teammates aren't losing their tackles, then you can steal their boost. Otherwise, this is greedy. So we want to show an example if you're first man engaged in a losing tackle and you need to rotate back. The decision you need to make is then to support your teammate. So you're going to simply flip back and look to play cover behind the new pressure. In this case, in this clip, Chicago is the pressure, the first man, and you are supporting him, J-Naps, in this position. So you will likely give up the entire field and then play front post. So watch J-Naps and how he plays it in this position. Also keep in mind, this means you might give up the midfield to cover the net just in case your teammate gets beat. Do you understand this trade-off? If you're in Rizzo's position in this case, he sees that J-Naps is closing aggressive close to Chicago, so he comes back third. Do not cut in like you normally would in this position if your second man is playing close. Also, note that if you are the teammate that is recovering and there's already somebody in the net, do not go into net. That space is already covered. 2 defenders in the same position is 1 defender. Stay in the midfield, and we recommend that you stay on this moose pad right here. That's mainly what to do on offense and the transition in case your first man or second man loses a tackle. But what about what to do on defense? So on defense, you're going to follow what I call the midfield T. You're going to rotate out, then hit these pads on the way back. You want your rotation to be tighter on defense and to cover this midfield. Note that defense wants to keep things tight to take off passing lanes, while offense wants to spread things out to open passing lanes. In a high-level game, even missing one of these pads on your midfield T rotation can be large LaManca S. So don't panic, relax, and just hit these pads on the way back into position. Limit your flipping as well. Lower levels tend to flip twice or 3 times and then miss the pads and then miss the spacing, while higher level players will only flip once or not even at all. Again, do not rotate into net if your teammate is already covering front post. Cover the midfield. It's helpful to know that also while rotating into this midfield position that you may want to bend your run slightly to cover for any extra space you might need. Although following the midfield T, sometimes you may want to rotate a bit wider if necessary, if you need it. So notice how I move the opposite way to give myself some space to work with. Remember this is a very high level movement. Wait.
So this next concept comes from Rams. He's the Veloce esports coach in EU, or at least during the time he was. It's called Zones of Responsibility. The concept was so impactful when I was taught it that it had to be included in just about every single coaching session. And it teaches this. The goal of the second man is simply to provide a zone covering the first man, right? So in this case, he covers left side zone, the third man covers right side zone. And so this makes things a lot as far as what to do for second, third man. And also it helps for the players not to trip in each other. So in most cases, the first man is going to fake and bait the attacker into giving it to a supporting player. I made a video on this called the K-Dop rotation years back. So you want to fake it to give possession, where a dead tackle is actually a win for the defense, since they will have a dribble against the second man. They usually will have tighter rotations than the offense, so they will beat the pressure to the ball. So you're not going to get possession back on a dead 50. So the professional advice here that separates this video from standard coaching is when to go midfield. Usually when it came down to teaching this second man rotation, I would only teach the turbo pulse rotation. But the problem is that there were times when it was okay to go in the midfield. As a general rule, what I found is that if you know that there's a super large clear, you want to be about a half field away or longer, right? So in general, though, the rule is about a half field away. On offense, if we have possession, right, I'll play second man right on the lifeline pads in my zone of responsibility, just a little bit further than the half line. If the play doesn't materialize and the ball gets dropped into the corner, I go into the sideline and try to get myself an angle to shoot or pass the ball. If the ball switches into the other zone, I instead do not cut the field. I drop back and support my teammate who's now covering to rotate in that zone. We're going to switch, right? So before I could teach you this midfield aspect, we need to get this sideline idea drilled down with this rotation called the turbo pulsar rotation, or the full second man rotation.
I just realized I wasn't recording with my mic, so you're going to have camera audio for the most of this up until right now. So essentially, by backing up in your rotation, and instead of playing super aggressive, but you back up and allow the ball to come to you, you allow your teammate to be a passing option as well from the correctly rotating third man, because now you have space to work with, right? So this forces the defender to either cover the shot from you or the pass coming in from your teammate. So the right way to defend this is that you have to have the first man that was rotating out on defense, right? You have to have him cover the midfield. And so now that covers the pass, and then you got the front post man covering the shot, right? So if you're the first man rotating back and you don't cover the midfield and instead stack the net, this is a mistake. You've put your teammate in a tough spot, but you're not alone, and even pros get stuck in this, right? So check out Squishy Muffins in the RLCS Winter Split Finals in 2020 against NV Gaming. He left the midfield open, to which Atomic knew that the front post was guarded by Justin, so he put it mid where there was vacant space. And they scored and lost because Squishy didn't employ this midfield idea. So back to the second man idea. By now that you should understand that both teams are actually playing hyper defensive. Even the offense. Offense is playing smart and waiting for the opportunity to open lanes and allowing themselves the time and space to make decisions, and therefore they allow scoring opportunities. The first man will bait the release into the second man. The second man will look to either pass and shoot. So it's the teams that actually play faster, that try to play more aggressive, that actually hurt themselves because they don't allow themselves the time and space to be able to work into the position. The absolutely pervasive mistake in low elo, and it seems obvious, but it is, I'm telling you, it is absolutely pervasive. I see it all the time, is that people will push forward on the midfield and then rotate out, right? Or they'll push forward in the midfield too fast when they know there's a big clear. Okay? This is wrong. This is very wrong. If you're one of those lower elo players that tends to do this, do not rotate close mid when the opposing team is looking like they can make a fat clear. Cover the space first, and then if they opt for a dribble, then close it down, okay? So if the other team has possession, wait at the half line. I like to sit right at the full boost at the midfield. So if you don't have possession, wait at the half field boost and slowly approach like J-Naps, right? You can see he does like a little check to movement where the ball doesn't come mid, but he went mid. The ball doesn't come mid, so he checks back to this mid boost, right? If you have possession, you can rotate partly in just like this clip, but if it doesn't materialize, come to the sideline, okay? I've taught this for years, and I realized that going sideline isn't the answer to everything. It's not a one-size-shoe-fits-all. It doesn't work every time, because sometimes it's best to go mid, sometimes it's best to go sideline. Other times going sideline would have been better where you opted to go mid. It really depends on what you think is the best decision to make in that play. So quick recap, if you're pushing out on offense, rotate on those lifeline pads only if you have possession. If the other team is looking to make a big clear, stay back behind this half field. Or at least be a half field away from your first man. That's another rule that I like to make. If you're unsure, be a half field away from your first man. So know that when you're the second man, your duty, if the ball's on the left side, is that left side zone of responsibility. If the play switches, right? If the play switches and you no longer have possession, now you come to the sideline. Make sense? So you must make sure that whatever your counterpart in the rotation is doing, right? So whoever is the front post man in this case, and you're the second man at the half line, right? You guys are counterparts. You guys are matching each other. So whatever he's going to do, you need to match it. If the second man is on defense and showing that he's going to clear into the corner, you need to be there. So I know I'm repeating myself, but most of my coaching sessions is usually the same mistakes over and over and over. I've told you there has never been a guide like this. So I just covered defense, but what about offense? So the second man is covering front post, right? This is a typical position in defense. So the second man is covering front post. Typically the pressure and the cover will rotate with each other, right? It is extremely important that, for the sake of this video, that the man that's covering the front post do not push out because he needs to use this wall for a clear. So switching positions. So instead of talking about the front post man, we're going to talk about, right, where usually you make the decision of whether or not to cut midfield or come back third, right? So how you react to this play is entirely dependent on what the second man does. So like second man, J-Naps in this position, he comes out aggressive, right? So then you need to rotate third. Or if the front post man plays passive, then you need to cover the mid, okay? So sometimes the second man will push out close. You just now need to cover that space where normally he covers that wall. Now you're going to cover that wall, okay? So you're essentially, your responsibilities flip. Right? So instead of you covering the midfield, he's going to now cover the midfield. You come back third. Make sense? Now, back to the front post man. I know we're jumping, but back to the front post man. The way you push out is really important, okay? So the rule is if you have possession, push out onto midfield lifeline pads. But if you do not have possession, normally you're usually making a clear in this position. So you need to come to the sideline. So if you do not have possession, wait far back to receive the clear, right? Check this out. You must remain at front post until the ball is cleared past the half line. That is an absolute rule. I've tested this so many times at even the highest level of play, and the rule is do not push out because you need to use this wall. The midfield is going to be covered by your teammate who's going to employ the rotation that we talked about in section 1 with the whole midfield. Remember that the wall is your lifeline. If you decide to stay passive on the second man and the ball is going to roll into the corner into you, right? The wall is your lifeline. If you push out, you'll find that 99% of the time, you'll have to rotate back and turn back anyway just to make the clear. Sometimes you'll even be late. It'll be too awkward. You'll open up a double touch play for the other team, right? So keep it simple. Do not push out until the ball crosses the half line. That's when you can slowly start to move into the sideline. And that's when you can push up a little bit more than usual. So that pretty much covers the second man. The third man is going to be even simpler because we talked about all the little minute details of the first and second man. All right. Well, this is the final stretch. I'm on my final part of the recording, which is part 3. So there's a lot of things that I wanted to go over that weren't even included in the script. But when you go and you write it and you spend a couple days going back, it's always a thing where no matter what you do, whenever you write the script, there's always something where you're like, oh, I should have mentioned this. The final part of this, the third man, is going to be kind of a summary of everything. Do send a like onto the video, and let's get this video blown up. Let's get it out to more people. And I'm just going to leave it all on the table, and then I'm going to peace and say see ya because I'm going to focus on videography and building that dream of traveling the world. I knew it was just going to irk me if I didn't make this video no matter what. It was just going to irk me that I didn't help people when my information can help people. So the final part, the third man. Let's go. The first and second man, we had to go over ideas and how they tied into each other on offensive defense. And now with the third man, it's not like a thing where you're going to be looking at first and second man and how they react. It's much simpler. Third man is not nearly as complicated. You already know what to do pretty much when you're third man. All right, so as the third man, your job is really simple. You're the balance in the position. You're the third step in the defense. You're simply there to cover the second man. Right? You're about a half a field away, but there's something we must mention, which is the movement and how you rotate into the second man spot, right? So you know that if the ball's on the right side, then first and second man are going to have their zone of responsibility native to where the ball is, right? So that means they both cover right. So you need to cover left, okay? Now, normally I would have ended the video right here, right? And say, okay, we've already done enough because now with third man, you just cover left and you're just going to rotate in a second. But I remembered that there's a movement that's usually missed here, right? And most of the times players, when they rotate from third man into second man, they've done everything right. They've rotated wide enough, right? Or sometimes they won't rotate wide enough, and then when they try to make their cut in, like you should, right? Then now they're too awkward. The ball just goes over behind them, where if they would have had, right, just been a little bit farther back, they would have been able to go for it, right? So most of the players, say you've rotated wide enough, you're on the boost, but they cut in too early. So the point here is to play far back and to give yourself that run up to engage onto the ball. It's the same concept as second man, but GC1s and GC2s, and especially the lower ELOs, even up to high SSL, up until where you even hit Pro League, where the game is very structured and simple, players were often cut in too early because they feel they need to be as quick. They need to be as quick to the ball as possible, and it's so not true. Speed is an illusion. It's part of the reason why I wanted to make this video, because there are so many people coming out with videos that are just there to fucking get views. It's how to play faster, and you don't need to play faster. You don't need to play faster, man. It is bullshit. What you need is an actual system, right? Because speed is an illusion. Speed is just an illusion for good positioning, right? So the point then becomes to teach you how to read the game, not to play fast. You don't need to play fast. It's actually the opposite. You need to play very simple, right? So So I want you to copy this idea. So I got this idea first back from communism in 2018, and he now plays for version 1, and I've used it ever since, right? And this was also in 2018 when I played in Rank A. It's also the environment where I got to speak to many of the modern pros nowadays, not the OGs like Garrett G in Chicago and all them, but where I got to see like Reddles, Explosive Gyro, Mektos, the Ghost Gaming roster, Atomic was another. There's so many more that I can't name off the top of my head, but they all kind of came together to help me out, or at least they were being dicks, and I was just like, I want to get better, so I went and asked them, and they were helping me out with some stuff. So what lower elo players will do is they'll cut their rotation early, and as a result, they cut themselves off from space, and the space equals time, right? Time to react to the play, where higher level players just sit back and let the play develop into them, right? So as third man, there's a couple different things, right? Rizzo likes to play here, right? And then K-Dop likes to play on this diagonal. Now, I've tried both. To be honest, I've tried every which way of third man you could fucking think of, right? Because I've put in like 8,000, 9,000 hours in the game. The most success I've ever had was following K-Dop, honestly. This little like diagonal here is so awesome because it gives you the ability to be able to go onto offense, but also you could just check deep and take the second man position like you normally would, right? I like to play in this diagonal, and then as your second man is going to take the first man spot, you go and you slowly coast and take it, right? And so what you'll notice is that there's like a tether, there's like an invisible string between you and your teammate that you're being pulled in like a beautiful geometrical position, right? And you'll watch the game sort of just come alive. It'll just be beautiful. It'll be comfortable to play. I remember my dream when I really made this video, my vision for it was I had this memory of playing soccer in the Super Y with guys that were the best in the state. And this was before I got injured, and it was amazing because it was just clicking. Everybody knew what to do, and it was easy. The game was easy. Rocket League should be easy. Rocket League is easy, right? But it's largely overcomplicated. So what really sets this video apart is the fact that as you're rotating out, you're really looking into that midfield. Man, I can't tell you how many times people just mindlessly rotate out. The lower elo players will do 2 or 3 flips. Just, oh shit, I need to get out, get back into the rotation. Not true. You are in the rotation. You're always in the rotation, right? That you, when you're rotating out, are still extremely relevant in your position. You're still covering a zone, right? And grabbing 3 or 4 pads on the way out is all you need. It's really all you need to maintain a high pressure offense. And so as third man, remember that when your second man is still on that right side, you got first and second man on the right side and you're covering left, do not cross this midfield line under any fucking circumstances until the second man is rotating out, rotating into the first man position. That first man is rotating out. So basically, first man is going to become the new third, right? He's going to slowly rotate, but he's going to be looking in that midfield the entire time, right? But that entire time, right, you are making sure that you're not going to play too fast and cut into the second man's position too early, and now you're just the same attacker, right? So you don't want to do that. So the rule is, when you're rotating third man, it's a slow rotation out unless you really need to drop back. If your teammates are making good tackles and it's still in their corner, right, what you're going to do is you're going to check to this half line, and you're going to check to this boost pad line here, and you're going to play right on this line. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Now, right, wait, you can adjust this if you need. So sometimes if your teammates are playing solid, right, then naturally the reason why pros are so tight is because they make really good 50s, right? So they can naturally be a little bit tighter on their offense. Now, I say to play wide just because in ranked, right, your teammates won't really make good tackles, right, most of the time. Even in GC3, up till you get pretty much top 100 is when teammates will start to make good tackles, right? I feel, at least. So I just say stay farther back, right? But if your teammates are on, then you can rotate a little bit closer. Like if you're in the field of the game and you feel it, yeah, go ahead and rotate a little bit closer, right? But in the general, when you rank it up, right, go behind this midfield line and watch how many times the ball just comes to you. The play just develops. All you need to do is just take a deep breath, relax, and next thing you know, you're going to open up passing lanes. You're going to open up shots that legitimately, it's just easy. The game is easy. Okay. So that's pretty much it. That's it. That's all I got. You finished the entire guide. You finished the entire thing. If you guys look at this system over and over and over, and you guys really get this down, decision making, I hope I did a good job. At least it's difficult to when you're like writing all this and you're explaining it, and I know what's in my head, and I'm trying my best to explain it simply. I don't know how truthfully this looks. So. I will check the comments. If you guys do have questions, maybe demos, because I know demos I didn't cover. Yeah, so I'm going to quickly go over demos. So right now, if you're the second man on that front post, it's really common that when that first man on offense is rotating out and you're on defense, right, and you're the second man, you can tuck in, because you have the side net. So normally I say to use the wall, but if you know that they're playing aggressive, then you need to tuck in. And so this is why it's really important for the first man that was rotating out, right, that's looking to either cut in or come third, right, on defense. If he sees that you're in a shit position, he can help you out, okay? So, but he's also covering the midfield at the same time, right? The point is not to go static and stack the net. That's horrible. Also, if you're the first man rotating out, right, on defense, and the other guy's going to demo you, you have a lot of space to work with. You really shouldn't be demoed in this position. I mean, if you look at Squishy here, he kind of dodges Turbo Pulsa, right? Right here as he's rotating out, right? And then he goes in the back post, but it can be avoided. So truthfully, you should be able to avoid all these demos. Yep. I think I covered just about everything. That is everything that I could literally think of. I have it. I mean, if you guys want to check, I mean, it's like a 4,000 word document that I've pretty much had to go over with all you guys. I hope this helped. This is I started recording this on the 27th or 28th. It is now January 2nd. I wish you all the best. Much love, man. And I'm going to start. I want to tell you, life is really, really short. So if you guys feel that you want to step away from the game, the best thing I could do is to tell you is that sun is good for you. It's good for your mental health. I've been here where I've done the 12 hours a day, right? And I've wanted to be a professional, and being a professional is not what you think. You really have to have a genuine love for this game. And truthfully, I don't think anybody has a genuine love for this game. It's always a love-hate relationship, and it's like that with every single game when it's competitive. If you look at guys like Tyler One, if you look at streamers like Rizzo who quit pro play, it's mentally taxing. I wish you all the best. I send you so much love. This is my Christmas gift to you, and I hope it helps. And that's it. Peace.